Welcome back to the Keeping the Dream Alive podcast. Today, I have the opportunity to sit down with two representatives from the Veterans Program here at Torch Technologies. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Would you like to introduce yourself and we'll kind of get started there?
Yeah, certainly. I'll start. I'm Stephan Stidfole. I'm a senior manager with our Air Force Weapons Group, but one of our Veterans Program coordinators.
And my name is Chris Finley. I'm a program manager at Torch and also a veteran coordinator.
Can you talk a little bit about what makes this Veterans Program here at Torch different maybe than other Veterans programs, or kind of what makes it unique?
Well, we'll kind of start with that. So where we're at now, I'll say, a little more than 2 years ago, we began the research to develop, implement, and promote a larger, more comprehensive program that was aimed at increasing our veterans hiring and our military service member interactions, while also taking the chance to support or further support our current veteran employee workforce and to be able to enhance and grow that workforce. But with that research, we kind of began a little bit with something that's near and dear to those of us that have come through from the service, and that's through a program called DoD SkillBridge.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of companies out there, partner companies or whatever may use that, but DoD SkillBridge really gave us our first big entree into that transitioning market space, I would say. So when I say when we began that, the program, it provides an opportunity for those that don't know. DoD SkillBridge as a whole it's an opportunity for service members to gain valuable civilian work experience that is targeted towards training, some apprenticeships, some internships. And with that, it allows them to take a moment in time that lasts 180 days of their service time, and to be able to partner with proven industry companies like Torch to be able to transition those skills to someone that may better understand what those skills meant in the military side when we have government customers that need it on the civilian side. And that also, to caveat that, allowed us to work closer with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Hiring Our Heroes Foundation and their corporate fellowship program as well. So those two programs combined, when you take a look at, especially Hiring Our Heroes, because they're the largest and longest standing provider for the military civilian transition office. So being able to work with them, it allowed us to create an innovative 12-week program specifically, on Hiring Our Heroes side to really target those selected servicemen and women that we're looking for those transition opportunities that a company like Torch could provide. And it's allowed us over that time, it's allowed us to really target and to be able to reach and connect with a high amount of highly skilled military service members.
Yeah, and then being I would assume kind of figuring out that skill set that you learn while you're in the military and figuring out how that applies to kind of being out and in that like experience, but also like you said, it's not just some of those programs you mentioned isn't just solely for Torch. Some of those programs that a lot of other companies can be involved with. Is there anything that Torch does that's maybe unique in making that transition as smooth as possible for the service members as they're coming out and into this program?
You want to target that? You probably
there's a lot that, and it was kind of one of those things. How this originally started out is Torch has always been veteran/military focused, but we're not really starting anything that's new. We're just focusing it, funneling it into more initiatives and different things like that, and more of a cohesive kind of brand. And it's kind of the same process for that. We literally started having conversations between me and him and a couple of the other companies we know that are our trusted partners. And the next thing you know, we start getting emails with people's resumes, and we start getting feedback constantly. We hadn't really gone public yet.
Wow.
About anything. And it kind of ties into that whole thing. Military is all about cohesion. They're all about camaraderie, and they're all about, partnership and taking care of each other and family focused and different things like that. And it truly ties into what the culture of Torch, to include Starfish Holdings, but it's kind of natural. So we really didn't have to try hard. It was a natural order of things.
Yeah. And the value of these programs for for Torch as a whole, being an ESOP and being this community culture is a big conversation that we talk about almost in every episode because it's important. How do you all find the best ways to transition that culture that Torch does have into this program and kind of relaying that information that maybe you're having to relay in a different way than what you would do to maybe people that aren't a part of the program?
Well, that's the nice thing, and obviously Steve could take this too. The nice thing about Torch as a whole is I always like to tell everybody that the transit, especially military-wise, you transition to Torch in general, it's basically in the military with a different sense of humor. It is a great group of people, all about family, all about camaraderie, all about making everybody else around us better. It is literally very, very similar. So for our transition, and both of us are retired from the military, for us, the transition is very easy. And we found it that a lot of the other veterans that do come to Torch in general find it a lot easier than what we hear from other communities, and we hear from other companies and different things like that. And we work with it. It's not just we found a veteran a job, right? It's we found a veteran a home, that we support them, we nurture them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's you alluded to it just a second ago, just that community aspect of what it is y'all are doing. And with the program, y'all are a part of a variety of different veteran activities in the community. Can you talk a little bit about some of those activities that y'all are involved in here in Huntsville?
Well, I think you can kind of answer that twofold. I think, because Huntsville it's foundational when it comes to military support. When you take a look throughout the history, but that also goes to a lot of the companies that are in this town. We all have that same shared vision when it comes to recognizing the sacrifices that our men and women in uniform have given and continue to give. It allows us to partner together. So a lot of times when we say we support those entities, it's not through any one particular measure. I know Torch, in particular from a philanthropic perspective, charitable giving is something that's really important. And there's so many different opportunities around here, really beginning at the support level with organizations such as Still Serving Veterans. We oftentimes find ourselves working hand in hand with them, along with many other companies in this town. But it does make communication channels a lot easier once we were able to identify an event that has a significant impact to one or more areas of our veteran population. And that veteran population goes beyond. We're talking about military spouses, military caregivers, whatever it may be. It's something that's near and dear to us and allows us to work together with other firms, other partner companies and such in a town, especially in Huntsville. That also goes beyond Huntsville. A lot of our other outlying support areas where we may have offices and stuff, we are really trying to grow that effort into there. I know, Chris, you can probably talk a bit more about growth in specific areas that are outside of Huntsville.
Yeah, and I think I'd love to kind of transition that conversation to that, because I mean, over the last few years, Torch has really expanded its reach to field offices and trying to get that culture element that is here in Huntsville with the headquarters being here and kind of everything started here. The culture is evident and it's easy to kind of build it and it's easy to nurture it. But when you open up that field office, things kind of can sometimes change. Talk a little bit about kind of how the programs itself have kind of evolved and continued to support maybe in different ways for the communities that they're a part of.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, every expansion's a little bit different, right? As an example for us, there's a huge difference between, Shalimar, Florida and Detroit, right? Just geographically, people, culture, everything's a lot different. So as you try to bring veterans / employees, right? And that kind of question is almost more employee specific more than veteran specific. And it kind of ties everybody in together. A lot of it is leadership, mentorship, kind of molding and instilling those values and those core attributes that Torch has. Excellence, integrity, cooperation is a great example of that. Still trying to instill that throughout the entrepreneurship kind of aspect and being able to help in the communities and community relations is something that we all continue to grow on. As an example, in Detroit, one of the organizations they support up there is kind of military working dogs, kind of doing things like that's near and dear to some of the Torch people in Detroit. So they continue to support that and corporate along with the rest of us at Torch. Doesn't matter whether we're in Detroit or Huntsville or whatever, we all support that initiative for that group.
And I think that the conversation too about that collaborative nature of Huntsville itself, I think is something that's unique to Huntsville too. I mean, I think the ability that y'all have to kind of work with and find out about these community involvement activities because of the other companies that are involved in the programs as well is super unique, and it's something that being able to replicate that into these field offices and figuring out ways in which is what's important to them and what's important to where they live is the most important element of the whole thing. As we're kind of wrapping it up, how can someone find out more about some of these employee opportunities with this veterans program?
Well, to begin, like I said, once we began that research, that expanded comprehensive program, the easiest way to do that is on our Torch website. That's torchtechnologies.com. So on that landing page, you can go to the careers tab. That's an easy way to explore those types of opportunities. But with that, there's also a military transition tab inside that careers area. We're constantly updating that with new information. That also allows us to be able to pinpoint specific opportunities at times. But then, I know our HR teams are constantly updating careers pages, whether that be there on that website. Also, to be able to look at some job boards like maybe clearancejobs.com. We're constantly highlighting very specific opportunities that we know transition well with these types of military transition opportunities. Also, follow us on social media. Take a look at those different types of opportunities, especially LinkedIn. We're constantly trying to highlight very specific roles and opportunities that oftentimes target some of those transitioning points.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes. So if anyone's watching or listening and they want to find out more, they want to visit those links, we'll have all those links there. But I appreciate y'all being here. I think the impact of the veterans program here at Torch is evident, and I think the impact it'll have for years to come is going to be incredible to see. We'll have to have you back on in a couple of years and talk a little bit about all the new things that you're doing and how you're being able to serve new and unique communities all across the country through Torch. But I appreciate y'all being here today.
Sounds great. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.